Hello, in this short lecture I will give you a couple of reasons for the non-existence of God. The first reason why God doesn't exist is because of the fact that God is perfect, so He would have never created such an imperfect world. The second reason for the non-existence of God is because God would have never created the human beings that are capable to do evil and sins and crimes. And we should ask the simple question why God created the human beings from the beginning. And if the answer to the question is that He created them in order to put them to the test, then it makes no sense, because instead human beings He could have created perfect creatures that are not capable to do any wrong, any sins or crimes at all, and then He didn't have to put anyone to the test. And we should also remember that God knows what will happen in the future. And for that reason, He knew that the human beings will do sins and crimes and so on. So if He knew it, why He created them from the beginning? Therefore, we can deduce that God didn't create the human beings. That is to say, God doesn't exist. The third reason for the non-existence of God is that God would have never created such a world where there is so much human sufferings, so much cruelty, so much violence and crimes and so much deaths and so much murders and also so much diseases and wars and so much natural disasters such as earthquakes, floods and hurricanes. Such a bad world would have never been created by God that is defined as a perfect. Therefore, God didn't create the world. That is to say, God doesn't exist. The fourth reason for the non-existence of God is that God would have never created such a reality in which the very existence of the prey is dependent in his ability to, in which the very existence of the predator is dependent in his ability to kill the prey. The very existence of the lion is dependent in his ability to kill the deer or the lamb or any other animal in order to survive. Such a cruel reality where there is so much injustice would have never been created by God. Therefore, God didn't create the world. That is to say, God doesn't exist. The fifth reason for the non-existence of God is actually because there are three monotheistic religions. Monotheistic is defined as a belief in one God or the oneness of God, and those religions are the Judaism, the Christianity and the Islam, and they actually contradict each other in their description or their explanation of how God created the world. And they also don't have the same God. The God of the Judaism is not the same God as the God of the Christianity or the God of the Islam. So, because of all those contradictions and differences in gods, we can deduce that they are all false, they are all not true, they are all the invention of the human beings, and also that God was created by the human beings. That is to say, God doesn't exist. And the last reason for the non-existence of God is a logic reason. We can say that logically such a being that is omnipotent cannot exist, or such a being that is all power cannot exist logically. I will explain why. Because we can ask the simple question: if God is able to create such a big stone that he himself cannot lift, if the answer to that question is positive, then we can deduce that God is not able to lift the stone that he himself created. Because of this, he is not omnipotent, he is not all power. And if the answer to that question is negative, then we can say simply that God is not able to create such a big stone that he himself cannot lift. And for that reason, he is not omnipotent, he is not all power. So anyway, we can conclude from that example that such a being that is omnipotent logically cannot exist, or such an entity that is all power cannot exist logically, and therefore God that is defined as all power cannot exist logically. That is to say, God doesn't exist. So those were all the reasons for the non-existence of God. Okay, thank you very much.